What's up, guys, and welcome to what might be my last Die Hard video ever. We'll see. I'm still pulling out hope that we're going to get an eventual sixth film to wash A Good Day to Die Hard out of our mouths forever. But today, we're talking about all of the main Die Hard villains. We got 5 villains to talk about, ranging from one of the weakest villains I've ever seen in an action film to possibly the greatest action villain of all time. So this should be a fun list. Nonetheless, if you are a Die Hard fan, I have reviewed all 5 of the films in full. Yesterday, I dropped my ranking of all 5 Die Hard movies, and today we're going to be closing out this review series. So hit the subscribe button if you are a fan of Die Hard, if you're a fan of action franchises. I'm going to be doing a lot more throughout this year, along with a lot of horror franchises, so stick around, don't miss out on any of that fun. Now, getting into the nitty-gritty with the Die Hard villains, starting off at number 5. The worst villain, the weakest villain, not only in this series, but one of the weakest villains I've ever seen in an action film in my life. And his name is, can't even fucking remember it, Komarov. Yuri, something like that. That's how weak this fucking guy is. I've seen this movie at least 4 times, unfortunately. I've seen A Good Day to Die Hard enough times, and I still, for the life of me, even after watching it just yesterday, not even 24 hours ago, cannot tell you the name of this villain, because there is nothing about this guy that is executed well or memorable. This is a random character, like a political prisoner that the McClanes are trying to protect and escort the entire movie, and it's absolute writing on the wall that eventually he's going to be revealed to be a little bit more than they realize, and oh my god, in the third act they show that this is actually the main villain of the movie, and now the McClanes are trying to kill this fucking guy. Now, aside from the fact that I think it's cool when Jack throws him off of the building and right into the propeller blades of the helicopter, that's about the only bit of satisfaction I get from this villain. He's not memorable, he's not interesting, he has no screen presence, he has no intimidation factor, and it takes away one of the most important dynamics of a Die Hard movie as far as some of the formula that we need to call it a Die Hard movie, and that's that back and forth between the McClane character or characters and the villain. You don't even know this guy's the villain until the last 15 minutes of the movie, and by then, there's not really much shit talking for John McClane or Jack McClane to do. It's just, okay, we gotta kill this fucking guy now. Fuck you. And that's all we get in this film. This villain is absolute garbage, like the movie that he is in. Number 5, Komarov. Number 4 is going to be Colonel Stewart. Now, this is a character that I like, but certainly is on the weaker spectrum of Die Hard villains. I love William Sadler, and I'm sure part of that is what's kind of making me forgive a lot of the weakness of this character. He's got a very strange intro where he's doing this naked karate thing, which is just off-putting, but essentially his plan to get this this guy out of these, landed in these airplanes and hold the place hostage until they get an escort plane to get him out of there is an interesting plot. It kind of mimics the first film a little bit without the motivation of money, which is interesting change. But overall, aside from a little bit of that classic back and forth that we get on the radios between John McClane and William Sadler, there's just not a whole lot of intimidation factor with this character. I think that he's strengthened by the fact that he has so many other villains with him that John McClane has to take out, some of which aren't revealed until the third act of the movie, so his intimidation factor is in the fact that he has so many comrades that John McClane doesn't even realize, and so he's a very easy villain to underestimate. But as far as screen presence, as far as presence in this franchise, I think that until the 5th film, he was easily the weakest villain, while still being good. Number 3 is going to be Thomas Gabriel, played by Timothy Olyphant. Now, again, I love Timothy Olyphant, so I'm sure that's coloring my response to his character a little bit. But I like how different this character is for a Die Hard villain. He's somebody that is certainly not afraid to kill people, and he certainly is killing people to get his plan across, but he's kind of just trying to prove a point. He's kind of trying to prove his life's work and was kind of screwed over by the government, and so he kind of has a little bit of a sympathetic motive to a certain extent, and what he's trying to teach the infrastructure of the government might not necessarily be the worst lesson for the government to be taught in the context of this film. But he is a villain. He's very much an evil guy. And the best part about his character that I like is while he's a very calm, collected, and very sure of himself villain, John McClane does what John McClane does best and gets in this guy's head, and all throughout the runtime just claws away at his ego and claws away at his stability to the point where he is throwing everything that he has just to kill John McClane. It's like he doesn't even care about the fire sale shit anymore. It's like, all right, I gotta kill this fucking guy. He's pissed me off. He killed my girlfriend. He's talking shit. And I just like the performance that Timothy Olyphant gives, especially by the third act when they finally come face to face, and has maybe one of the coolest villain deaths for an action film, paired with the classic yippee-ki-yay motherfucker line.
On your tombstone, it should read, always in the wrong place at the wrong time. How about yippee-ki-yay motherfucker?
I really do enjoy his character. To me, he's number 3. Number 2 is going to be Simon Gruber, played by Jeremy Irons. Now, this is a character that I think comes close to matching what Hans Gruber gave. He doesn't quite have the class. He doesn't quite have kind of that suave allure that Hans Gruber has, but he certainly has the charisma, and he certainly has a great voice for the radio, for those classic Die Hard style scenes. He does have an intimidation factor that he is this soldier. He's somebody that has, you know, lived and breathed warfare before he's come into this terrorist plot, which makes him a little bit more intimidating physically than Hans Gruber. And I like the fact that he sets all of his sights on McClane while he's trying to do this plot. He kind of uses McClane as a distraction for the city of New York, which is really smart. And if it wasn't for the final moments of this movie where he decides he's just gonna stare at John McClane in the street and smirk at him with a fucking machine gun raised right at him and give him enough time to find something to shoot at it, and then take him down in the dumbest way possible for an action villain that's that smart, I don't know if he would ever be number 1, but he would be a lot closer to number 1. We'll just say that. But even with that little bit of dumb writing there in the last moments, I think he's a very effective, very awesome villain. He's got a great screen presence. And man, like, if you're talking about those radio scenes where you're just listening to somebody on the other side of a radio or on the other side of the phone, like most of this movie, you can get few people that have a voice as iconic as Jeremy Irons. But of course, number 1 is going to be Hans Gruber, who I think is easily in the conversation for best action villains and might be the greatest action villain of all time, because he battles John McClane with his mind and with his intellect and with his schemes. You know, you think of classic action villains, you think of somebody who's muscular that can go up and do toe-to-toe fisticuffs with our main and protagonist. But Hans Gruber brought a different flavor here. He attacked with his smarts, and I think that his plan and his plot is very smart and very very evil. He's just gonna kill a bunch of innocent people to kind of be a cover for him to get away. And I love how calm and calculated he is. I mean, the first thing that he does is walk up to the guy with the most authority in the building, give him a chance to help, and then just shoots him in the head like, okay, fuck it. And then the FBI shows up, fuck it, FBI was inevitable. Police show up, start shooting and everything, fuck it, who cares? I planned for all this, and it's just hilarious. John McClane is the one monkey wrench in the system that is messing up his perfect plan.
I thought I told all of you I want radio silence.
Sorry, I didn't get that message.
And if it wasn't for John McClane, he would have got away with it scot-free. And some of those classic scenes where they're going back and forth with each other, even that little sequence where McClane actually comes face to face with Billy Clay, who is Hans Gruber, is great, and their on-screen chemistry back and forth when they're right next to each other is awesome. And he has probably the greatest death for any action villain of all time. Just dropping him out of that building, and the genuine reaction of Alan Rickman's face, because they literally dropped him on a stunt balloon and said they were gonna drop him on 3 and drop him on 1. And so there's so much about this villain, just like the movie that he is in, that I endlessly adore. My favorite movie of all time, and possibly my favorite action villain of all time, Hans Gruber. Number 1. So what do you guys think? What is your ranking of the Die Hard villains? Let me know down below and we will talk about it. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the fun that I have planned for the month of February and beyond. It's going to be a very busy and interesting year, being that this is my first full year being full-time on YouTube. So thank you for supporting me on this channel and on this video, hopefully, and continue to support me in the future by subscribing and watching everything that I come out with in the coming days. Thank you guys. And, as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.